Thank you for inviting me, GDC, and thank you all for being here to learn a bit more how we do cinematic animation in Cyberpunk, how we did it. There's going to be some spoilers ahead, not massive ones. I hope all of you played the game, but if there is something there, just close your eyes. It will be fine. Okay, my name is David Cordero Iglesias. I'm cinematic animation lead at CD Projekt Red. I come from a VFX background, VFX commercials and short films. Cyberpunk was my first entering point for video games. And next we did Phantom Liberty, and now currently I'm leading the cinematic animation team for the new Witcher 4 game that I hope. I know, right? This presentation is divided into 3 areas, mainly. We're going to go first with the FPP, first-person perspective narrative animation challenges. We will have animation techniques, and later we will have a small case study of Chimera sequence in Phantom Liberty. So starting with the first area. As you all know, or I wish you know, we control V in first-person perspective. We immerse players in the experience more with that camera. This presents, of course, certain challenges that we need to address to create a compelling and clear narrative, because we are moving away from traditional cinematography and cuts, right? We're looking for some animation solutions that align with that narrative, that design that we need to express. There is an index on top just for you to not get lost, because there is a lot of content and a lot of media, so you can follow up a bit better. So I don't know if all of you noticed, but we have a no-cut experience in Cyberpunk. Most of it, of course, there are cuts, but it's always when the narratives follow up with it, being that V is sleeping or V is fast traveling with gameplay. But we want a seamless narrative where continuous gameplay enters and exits from scenes and quests without traditional cuts. And if you didn't notice the no cut, it's a total success, because this is what we need to do here. NPCs, another important factor is that NPCs are already living in that world. What we need to convey is that they are engaged already in activities and they have a naturalistic behavior, progressing with their lives without V's input. V's interact with them in a living world rooted with the narrative. And in this example, I'm going to talk on top of the videos. We can see how we enter the scene, and Mama Wells with Paco is preparing something with a pool table. It's the funeral of Jackie, we will get to know. And we just seamlessly enter with gameplay.
Nice to
Mama
see.
Wells notice us.
Oye, sit. Sit. You want a beer?
Paco goes to do his duties, and we can enter the scene naturally, without any traditional cut. And in this case, from this barstool in any directions. And those are the narrative challenges that we need to address.
Salud.
I could have one of those, actually. So next thing is that in this no-cut philosophy, there is a need to actually overcome the freedom that the player has, approaching objectives or approaching quests from every direction, because we usually come from gameplay and we can approach from every angle. This includes entering interactions with props or the existing environment, such as, for example, sitting on a bar, as we just saw with previous scene, entering a car, or entering an alley, or following someone, as we will see in this video. So in this video, we show
Igor says
how we narrow the action. This guy's gonna escape.
Fuck, no. Said I was done.
We have 2 ways of going there. Following him with your super strength, opening the door. And after the run, there is this natural alley, and this is an important part of this.
Hey.
We use the alley and River, the other character, to limit what is the interaction with the player,
Relax.
but it still feels
Just got
natural,
one
and it
question
feels
to
like
ask
something that just happened
No.
organically.
Said I was
without
done.
player
I
input.
was out.
Even if you go through the other side, as you will see here,
Leave me the fuck alone. All of us.
same output, but it still feels natural. It still feels you go on time there.
Piss off.
And later, we have another extra limit that is the wall. So we limit
Relax.
180 degrees behind
Just
us
got one question
to interact
to
with
ask
him in next animations. There has been a lot of collaboration with cinematic designers in this process to limit creatively, limit is what we're maybe, limit creatively how scenes trigger or how we approach them. So this collaboration is always very close with the other department, cinematic designer, to get to these solutions and solve these puzzles. As well, V is not always the main driver of the scenes. As I said, NPCs has their life of their own and their mind. So sometimes a scene starts or progresses due to another NPC. Like in this case, Myers is detecting a sound, and she's grabbing by your arm to put you behind the table. So you remove a little of the control for the player to win this thrill and win this excitement. And in the next, can be another external factor, such as a gigantic laser that is going to rip you in half, that obviously you're going to try to avoid. Sometimes taking a little bit of this control for the players improves this narrative experience. In this case, is the sense of horror, the sense of threat that we have behind us, just to continue with it later on full gameplay. I need to talk of the tiers of engagement very quickly, just because I'm going to come back to them from time to time in the next slides. So this represents the level of narrative we use to categorize how much control we actually take away from the player. And the higher we go in the number, the more cinematic we get, let's say, the more traditional cinematography we get. There is T1, player has full control, full gameplay, but they still can interact within the scenes. You have T2, player has limited locomotion, so you cannot jump, you cannot run, you cannot crouch. It can be selected like that, but still, in this case, you are carrying Songbird. Tier 3, that you are locked in position. This is very common in our game, sitting in bars or sitting in cars or just leaning against something for dialogues. In this case, it's a natural lock because police has locked you on the ground, but you still have the camera control here, so you can rotate your head. And Tier 4, player has no control, is full camera driven by us, like in this example. And there is a T5 that is exclusively mostly for endings and for external clips that the camera is in third person behind us. Poses. Poses are central to our cinematic animation work. They are the primary tool for actually conveying characters' emotions and storytelling just watching them. We put a significant amount of effort into developing these poses to ensure that they visually communicate each character's personality and role in the city. For example, here, as you can see, Johnny in the top right, he has a rebellious nature, right? So he has a defiant pose. He's like even putting the foot on the bench. We have Kurt, top left. He's from military background, so he's always very formal and with the hands in the back. Misty, underneath him, she just lost Jackie. She's an introvert, so she's surrounding her niece. So this is important for the first pass of making sure that those emotions are transmitted to the player. Sorry. Visual clarity, we see the world through V's eyes. This is the player main perspective, right? And serves as the game camera. So visual clarity is crucial to ensure that we can express the game story and details to the player without any major distractions, such as visual noise or motion sickness. Motion sickness is a big word, and actually is very important, and it's our big enemy here. Not all of you have motion sickness, but some of you do, and it's very tricky to actually balance that motion sickness on the camera. In my case, I don't have motion sickness at all, so sometimes I have to go to my colleagues. I have a very good colleague, Aneta, that she has a big motion sickness, so I have to show her the animations to actually know if they are good or not to go. It's good for me, not good for her, that I know. But it serves us to this purpose, right? And actually, sometimes it's even a feeling. There are some rules, of course, like, for example, the roll axis, or trying to keep the target from the camera when we are moving to maintain the parallax in a cohesive way, or even showing some of the body, as we're going to see. In this example, this is a very big parkour move, but we see where we're going to land all the time. Cameras is stabilized. We see our body. Body presence is very important to know where this body is at all times. And in this case, a bit of the same with a big turn, but I want to comment this one that we use the final position in T3, in this case, that we are locked, to actually try to get together with cinematic designers a bit of cinematography into the mix, so we can frame things in a specific position, angle, or how we want the characters. Body awareness. So body awareness is key, as I said, because V, the player, is a fully fledged character. It's not just a blank camera canvas that exists there, and that's it. So it's important for us to make this present felt through all the game. The player should feel when you are looking around that you are actually embodying a real person. So as you can see here, for example, in this T3, we achieve this through weight distribution, posing the character, or how you actually shift or moves with that environment, the connection with the environment as well. In this one, at the last point, we will see how he reaches for the gun without us add a sense of thrill and a sense of purpose for V. As well, as I said before, not always V is the main driver of the scene, so sometimes NPC grabs you, NPC contacts you, and it's needed to actually check that properly and see where we are at that moment. Another example, that Myers is turning you around after you did a big fall and slapping you in the face. Environmental awareness, kind of the same as I said with the characters, but having in mind that Night City as a character. Night City is, we need to feel that the Night City exists there already without V's input, and it was there for a long time. So V will be placed for the city, not the city for V, and it's something that we want to convey a lot in this, focusing on the connection between V's body and the environment that surrounds it with the rest of the characters. In this example,
Look what I found.
Myers
What do you
finds
think?
a crate of beer that
There's
is
more in the fridge.
wants to share with
Feel
V.
free.
And as you can see, there is
You
a
earned it.
chair in front of the table. So when we connect and go for
Just
the beer,
earn
we
yourself
avoid
a
the
vote,
chair.
Madam President.
We take the beer,
Are you even registered?
we
Housewarming
put it on the
gift from
table,
Songbird,
everything's
maybe?
in contact. Myers will attend the radio
Wouldn't
as
it be
well,
wonderful?
amp up the volume.
Circling back to Night City, speculative chatter continues
And if we look
tonight
down, we will
around
see
the
our
downed
own arms as
passenger
well,
craft.
posed perfectly there. Right?
And U.S. representatives
might be a bit
claim
dark, I'm sorry
President
about that.
Rosalind Myers was aboard when catastrophe struck. City officials have
So for
yet to
this,
release
throughout the game, we made standards of the metric system of a lot of props. We have prop categories, environmental templates. This is good to make consistency first throughout the whole game, and as well to save assets later so we can reuse certain assets in other areas of Night City and in other scenes. So finger animation. Finger details are crucial as well. Since this is a first-person game, and player is very close to the action of all times, we need to amp up the finger animation a little bit here for better realism and immersion. And as well, one thing that I like is that fingers and hands are one of the main things that, that you can show V's emotions, actually. So in this case, for example, he's been hacked, so he's through a lot of pain in a weird way. Or we know with this simple gesture just opening the game that V was in a fight before it, and she's hurting, right? So it's a very good way to express the emotion and the status of, and the state of V. So well, we have a lot of detailed inspection of items throughout the whole game, and V is frequently putting it on the camera just to see what are we inspecting in a natural way. So bringing them closer to camera brings us to detailing more the contact with the props, like in this case, this coin. As well, contact with the environment to convey the weight of actually going up or body presence. We are using that block of concrete to actually gather our step. It's not only about V. NPCs has to be to the same level of detail, even more because we have zoom in our eyes as a cyberware, so we need to try to do everything at the same level. Not only about good finger animation, it's about conveying a narrative with it. In this case, as you can see, now we'll loop again. This coin is important for Myers. It's an important symbol. That's what she's rubbing it with certain nostalgia. So we try to do that as well in these finger animation gestures. So another example of fidelity and a personal pride of mine is musicians. So there is a lot of musicians surrounding Night City with guitar animations, and we put extra effort into creating high fidelity animation for guitar scenes and as well for these guitar players in open world, making sure that the technique is correct and they play the chords correctly. I'm a big metalhead, so I'm totally into that. So I will let you listen to this part so you can see the finger animations a little bit on the guitar, and you can take a break a little from my annoying voice. Okay, that was beautiful. So we have some tools to help to support us to this ordeal. Basically, the first one is the Fingers Pose library. This is a lifesaver. It allows us to quickly draft finger animations without starting from scratch all the time. Every time an animator creates a cool pose, we save it to the library, making it available for everyone. And not only for everyone, we try to retarget to different body types and to different hand measurements. We also have animation clips that bring small natural movements to the fingers, which can be applied as an additive and bring so much naturality to enhance the realism even in an idle that the hand is almost not moving. Okay, so closing the narrative section before, this is, we will go to the second part. I want to highlight the role of cinematic designers in our project. Collaboration with them is essential to enhance the narrative through movement and performances, and the script as well. This collaboration obviously extends beyond cinematic designer, being that we work in content teams, like environment, assets, rigging, but we work very closely with cinematic designers all the time as they assemble our work in a meaningful way and integrating it with the story. Together, we try to create a cohesive narrative experience that resonates with all of you. So next, we're going into animation techniques. Same as before, we have the index on top. These are going to be the points that we're going to navigate through. Sorry. Motion capture. Motion capture is key indeed. It plays a significant role in our work, and it's the biggest part that many realize. Planning mockup is essential. It's not only about processing it. We spend a lot of time planning it properly. The plan is done, again, together with cinematic designer and other departments to ensure the cohesion and that everything is going together with the narrative or what you need to express. We have our in-house mockup studio. It's very cool. Professional actors as well, where we capture authentic movements. So we aim to make props and environments in the mockup studio similar to those in the games, together with all those metrics that we talked about before. That brings more realism and better accuracy. We have an incredible mockup team that always try actually to accommodate all of our crazy ideas, and trust me, there are a lot of crazy ideas here. And as well, last thing is that we record as well player actions. That's very important to create that physicality that we were talking about before for V, being the head, basically the camera at the beginning, and later try to polish that in a proper way with this visual clarity that we talked before. So these are some examples of our motion capture work. In this case, you can see it with the resulting engine. So you can see, for example, in the top right, how we have every metric the same as in the game. So we can actually be accurate on all of our animations. Keyframe. Even though mockup is the core of our work here, of course, having strong keyframe and traditional animation skills is crucial for successful mockup work. There is not, of course, not yet, I hope, a magical way to work with raw mockup data and just do it like that. So it requires a skill and understanding actually what you try to express with that mockup and cleaning it in a meaningful way. We use pure keyframe animation for complex things such as these killer robots, for example, which we can't capture in a studio yet. Sometimes as well, we have a special vehicle animation that needs a bit more detail than our driving system. So those are done with keyframe as well, like in a special case in some scenes that we need some specific movement for a vehicle. Using Maya and Motion Builder. We work in sync with these two tools. We strive to have similar tools for both and processes. Our amazing pipeline team actually secures this and addresses our problems to work better and better. And with this, animators have the freedom to choose actually where to work. They can select the software that best suits their needs and preference, or even past experience that you might have with Maya or Mobu. There is a variety of cross-processing tools that function between Maya and Motion Builder, enhancing workflow and efficiency. Like this one, for example, we have the pose library. Pose library, same as the finger, is part of the finger library, sorry, was part of this pose library. It's a very important tool to speed up our workflow and increase efficiency. All body types are included in the library. They are shared between Maya and Mobu, is the same one-to-one. these are our body types. We have 8 main body types in Cyberpunk, plus, of course, some custom main NPC rigs that we did. And there are several features with this tool that enhance the functionality, such as pasting pose relatively to one specific control, match IKFK, fix cellular curves, or a lot of them. So this is very important for us, is understanding what animation types do we have in Cyberpunk and how we move forward with the cinematic animation. First of all, we have the idle. In this case, we see Johnny here standing with a cigarette in his right hand. We have gestures for that pose. In this case, for this exact pose, there were 43 animations. Those animations go start and finish with the same pose. That's the important part, just to make sure that we have a pretty cool sequence of small animations that we can configure later. And we have transitions that is moving basically from one idle to another, from one pose to another. Those can be static or those can be in movement. In this case, it's pretty static. He's just taking the cigarette out, going into pose, and we will see now how he throws the cigarette and goes into the previous pose. For this, we need a proper naming convention. I'm not going to go into detail here because I will bore you to death, but basically, this is very, very useful to help telegraph, first of all, our designers more effectively what animations they are using, and as well for us to catalog everything. This ensures that every single quest and every single person from library open world can use the same naming convention, and we are there to support that. There are other types of animation, like synced animations. These we need to secure timing and spatial coherence between the two characters. In this case, even with complex prop handle, these are the animations from one of our colleague, Gaiska, which exemplifies very effective syncing together with a complex prop handling. I'm gonna just leave it one more gesture because it's pretty cool. And we go back to pose. So we have custom animations. Those are the ones that doesn't need to start or end with a pose exactly. And in this case, when we are driving with Jackie, we see Maxtac doing a raid and trying to stop these guys stealing that car. And later we will move forward and we don't need to worry about in and out pose. So this it's a small sanctuary for us because we can do actually proper cinematics without having in mind this big important puzzle that we need always to solve, right? As well, another custom animation in this case is the concert that I had the luck to work on, as you can see as well with all the finger animations and the correct playing. Some interesting animation statistics for Cyberpunk 2077. We did this amount of animations, basically more than 7K idols created, more than 35K gestures created, and more than 15K transitions created. This is 30 animators during whole development, base game and expansion. And if you were yesterday in an Anojek talk, you can imagine how necessary it was to actually have a tool to catalog and to proper track everything around because it was insane. I don't even know how we did that animation. So, word spot system. We are starting to get into our red engine system, former engine, rest in peace. It's a main feature component for NPC behavior in open world setting and scenes, word spots. They allow you to actually, based on those animation body types, create custom behaviors for NPC, being in a sequence or even randomly. Those natural behaviors that we implement with those sequences, with those random sequences, has several functionalities to add variety and realism, and we will go through them. It's a bit technical, but bear with me. So, basic word spot consists of only one pose or one sequence that we transition in. As you could see, Johnny was turning and starting to smoke the cigarette. And we can select on the top right how many gestures we want there and how random they are playing. And we have extra functionalities such as sharing between body types, automatic transitions based on the naming convention that you saw before. So if there is a naming convention that fits your previous pose, it can transition automatically to it. Set up fear or fast exit from gameplay, and a lot of them. Conditional sequences are very important as well. For example, if there are some animations that actually doesn't work with a character with a skirt, you can blacklist the skirt and not use those on that body type. We're moving further, next level. Master war spot. This is a war spot of war spots. So it's a comprehensive system that actually includes several poses and several sequences, and you can handle how you want to transition between them, or even in movement at some point. This sequence can change randomly again, or linearly in a sequence. And sorry, same, you can randomize, you can do automatic transition based on naming, or you can set up the number of sequences you want to play before leaving the war spot to proper locomotion and just walk away. So you can have someone that is checking the phone, finishing with the phone, ordering food, eating the food, and leaving, just in one war spot. And we will see Panam here doing that. So she's leaning against the wall. Some gestures are playing randomly. She's shuffling around. And now she's changing the pose, and this will be to a pose that actually will link to the other pose that we have with the cigarette. There you go with automatic transition. She pulls the cigarette out. And this is amazing because we can set up this without any input for the player, so you can just see an organic and naturalistic behavior for the NPCs around Night City. We have synced war spots, such as the one with the basketball you saw. So as you can see, there are two war spots connected that we save the information and the metadata of the offset between them in space and in time, and they can even play random sequences because the slot name is the same, so they communicate what animation they're going to play next. We have static sync war spots such as this, that they will be playing in loop indefinitely, or we can make one of the characters to actually enter the single war spot and interact with another character that was in another war spot before in another activity, such as these guys, when this guy is going to buy some candy, I believe. So you can see there, this is the relative offset that we manage and how we name it there. Cool. So I'm going to play an example of a market in Cyberpunk. So we can see the open world setting, but a busy market, a vibrant environment filled with NPCs, so you can see different war spots playing around. So you will see people changing the prop, entering war spots, exiting war spots, and just walking around is a delight because you see all these natural things happening. In this case as well, because it's a market, we collaborate closely with open world designers that they set up where actually the war spots are going to play. Depending on the archetype, if you are a store, if you are a food store, if you are a guard, if you are a police guard, or a lot of things. So it's very important to have that collaboration with them. Here, for example, we see the cook is working on the walk while the people are waiting for the food. The guy is taking the phone off to order some food. And this is happening randomly, so it's just every time you pass through there, it's going to have a different outcome, which is great. So we don't only use war spot on open world, we use them in scenes. So cinematic designers can set them up in a way that we can actually break the idle in conversations. As you know, if you play the game, you can leave hanging a character without an answer for a long time, indefinitely sometimes. So it's good to actually have some war spot and some animations supporting the activity that a character was doing. In this case, while Jack is waiting for our answer, he's still eating because we interrupted his meal, right? So he will be still eating, reminding you around. And with the fixer, he's not even looking at you. You just enter there and talking to you. He's just looking at the magazine, smoking his cigarette. So this creates a very natural and realistic behavior. And we break the idle and the illusion that he's just an NPC, like he's going on with his life. Some other features we had in Red Engine that were set up by animators is the override of the look at. Sometimes for some gestures, when the character is looking at you with the procedural look at, we need to deactivate that in case, for example, here, that the character is smoking, to actually align properly the cigarette to the mouth. So animators can set up a curve of overriding 1 to 0, that head motion. We have as well, this is compatible with IK arms. In this case, we will see Reed here driving within the driving system, so it's the automatic driving system, not animated by us. And with the same curves, we can actually disconnect one of the hands and play the whole animation, while the right hand is still connected.
Why you calling me on my day off?
This is very cool because we spend a lot of time in cars in this game, so it gives us a very naturalistic behavior with the characters, doing their live animation, looking around. And he will connect now with his left hand to the steering wheel again.
Boss man.
And goes with the driving system.
The club. Selection.
Other things such as we can add facial gestures with a notify on every animation set up by animator, so we can nail the synchronization with the body animation, or we can spawn or despawn props inside the timeline. We have this magic back pocket in Cyberpunk, but it's how it will serve us. Facial animation. So we used a keyframe approach with a facial acting coding system rig. This allows for detailed and precise facial animations, but it's everything bone-based and a hand keyframe. We didn't use facial capture for Cyberpunk. So a lot of references and manual work go actually into analyzing and creating believable expressions. Similar system structure to both animations, so we have our idols. In this case, it's Rogue playing the same idol, but based on an additive pose, we change the motion in several intensities. We have emotional gestures, body gestures, which we can use for listening, for changing the feelings of a person. Glances. Glances are very important sometimes because maybe procedural look-at doesn't have the quality level when we are close by that we need, so we can change it always for a glance and feels more natural being animated by an animator with a proper reference and analysis, or how the order of eyes, eye dart with the head works, than actually using the procedural look-at sometimes. Or phrasal gestures, these are one of my favorites, is like saying something without actually saying it. In this case, maybe or what. And some statistics, we did more than 270 face idols and more than 200 face gestures, share around face types, I was gonna say body types. Okay, I want to showcase how actually the whole puzzle comes together with cinematic designers, the assets we create, and the procedural systems working. I like this scene a lot because it shows a very introvert emotion from Misty, just lost Jackie, so I want to show you and be more aware of the face.
You know each other long?
Half our lives. Grew up in the same streets. Saw each other a lot, but just never got together.
Till a year back.
Yeah. Best darn year of my life.
Jack talked about you a lot. Always saying how much you meant to him.
Did he really say that? I bet he used different words.
Maybe. But that's what he meant. I really believe that.
You actually got to know him. The real Jackie. Everybody else thought he was a goofball with a rough-hewn face and an edge. But they're wrong.
So there are other cases, special cases, like in this case we have custom main NPCs that are actually based on real actors, such as Keanu Reeves for Johnny Silverhand, or Idris Elba as Solomon Reed. For Idris Elba, being that he has such an specific and characteristic expressions, and we are not doing face capture, I repeat again, this involves studying and analyzing a lot his expression and the ways that he moves the face. I'm gonna play the video. This is in collaboration totally with a lot of departments, being model, rigging, even texturing, to actually try to match as much as possible his quirks and his characteristic expressions in different, actually, stages of his life. And analyzing what do we need to raise, maybe more range on the eyebrows. We definitely need that. So yeah, about eyebrows, that was my personal nightmare. Idris Elba has very specific eyebrows, right? So he has this snake shape, or how he moves them, that is amazing, and it was difficult to convey, but I think we arrived to a proper spot there. And this is kind of the result in several areas, several expressions. The idea was to see this and automatically, give you the feeling that is actually this actor without the facial capture. So lip sync. We collaborated with Jali. We have VO localized for 11 languages in Cyberpunk, and all of them has a custom lip sync. To do this with the amount of lines, that is more than hundreds of thousands of lines, of dialogue lines, it will be very difficult, will be literally impossible to do by hand. So this software actually allows us to, based on the audio input, create a compelling lip sync animation. As well, it's not only about the lip sync, as you will see when I play the animation. You have certain emotion in the face that actually support our other gestures, and in combinations, we can create very compelling animations. So in this case, I'm gonna play the same phrase in 2 languages.
Slow, deep breaths. Your cortisol and adrenaline spiked, but the soft activated your hormone blockers. Nothing happened. You're alive and well.
Respira lento y profundo. Tus niveles de adrenalina y cortisol se dispararon, pero el soft activó los bloqueadores hormonales. No pasó nada, ¿estás bien?
For a deeper understanding of this, I will share a YouTube link later so you can see more about it. Okay, and we arrive to the third and last area. We're gonna do a scene breakdown of the fall in the Chimera chase sequence. Let's see it first.
You wanna play rough? It's gonna get rough.
What now?
Oh, shit, not good. Shit.
So as all good things starts with a blank piece of paper. In this case, virtual paper. We use Miro a lot. It's a great collaborative visual tool. Me being a visual person, I really liked it, and we can start designing together. There were a lot of iterations, showing changes here in Previs and explaining what is the evolutionary scene of where do we want to arrive, right? This required constant collaboration with different departments, as I said before, ensuring that every aspect of the design work in harmony to bring the scene actually to life. As you can see in the first Previses, it was nothing like that. It was more of a stealth beat, and actually the fall wasn't that important. It was just a fall.
Mayor's now! You're too close.
The voice is my dear friend Carlos, previous lead.
Dude, fuck!
So as you can see, the fall is not the important part here, but we thought that we needed some oomph and some strength there, and we started to iterate on this. Even this still feels like not a lot, because basically we decided to transfer the fight to the underground station, and we needed to express that Chimera is damaged for the boss battle. So this was one of the ways to do it. So we amplified that desire, and we started prevising until we arrived to the proper solution. So for this, we started the recordings of mockup. We have a great stunt team, led by Maciek Kwiatkowski. Polish is difficult, okay? Sorry, guys. It's very cool to collaborate closely with them. Actually, they have more information about choreographies and how we can actually bring our crazy ideas to life. I'm going to show you a montage of all the clips. I think it's like 11 clips. And this is what we put together from the session to actually do the animation later and create the whole sequence falling down. Awesome, right? So putting everything together was a bit of a time. You will not see the final alpha version. But yeah, it required to actually take those 11 clips in the whole space that it was. I don't know how high that was, but it was pretty difficult to actually achieve proper speed falling, proper contacts, clarity of everything happening. Being that first person sometimes helps you with that, as you don't have a reference of the external body. You can actually fake the speed of falling, which kind of helps. Sorry if you have motion sickness, the camera wasn't very cleaned up here, so this is everything together from that session. So this is not about the quality of animation, it's mostly about the timing, the feeling. Is everything in place? It's understandable. I don't see anyone throwing up, so kind of good. So after that, we do the beta pass. This involves adding polish pass through all the fingers, all the contacts, cable, as well the camera, of course, the visual clarity pass. In this case, it was a bit difficult because you cannot over-smooth the camera here, as you will have suddenly a drone hovering around everything very smooth. So you still can keep a bit of this chaotic falling and the physicality. It's a difficult balance because probably some people will be still very much with motion sickness around this, but yeah, I tried to smooth everything up and it was just a hovering camera doesn't convey this physicality that we want to do. So this is the beta pass. So there was a point after this that we saw that this was the longest cutscene without player input in whole Cyberpunk. So we tried to actually split it up in a few pieces for better engagement with the player, as we didn't do that much in the game before. So we decided to introduce negative choices, where time was a factor, actually, and if the player didn't click on time, it can damage you for the next battle with him, or even in the third choice, if you don't press, you're actually dead. He will kill you, or as we call it in Cyberpunk slang, flatline, right? So I'm gonna show you what happens if you don't press.
What now?
You should have pressed. Okay, we are slowly arriving to the end. I want to share a few conclusion points here. So first-person camera brings a lot of animation challenge to convey a cinematographic but grounded narrative. We find one solution, one of them, in understanding V as a character and not a blank camera canvas. We use pose-to-pose approach as an animation standard in open world scenes, expanding and improving the design on top of that. And the one that is my favorite, be a good game dev and not only an animator. Collaboration with other departments to elevate your animation and create a better game is essential. So we actually collaborate a lot with every single department to try to have a better game, not just a better animation. Some interesting links, so if you want to do a photo here, these are some previous talks by my lovely colleagues. There is something about cinematic design, something about Jolly, something about motion capture, so you can actually later scan the QR codes. And these are my social media. If you want to actually contact me, don't hesitate. And I'm gonna leave the part of the talk with, if you wonder what is the best animation I ever did in the game, for me it's this one. This one. And thank you so much. But there is post-credited scene, sorry. There is still some talks from my dear colleagues around here that will happen tomorrow and past tomorrow, so I encourage all of you to attend. And if you want to work with us for exploring the job opportunities our Boston have, please scan that QR code, go into the portal, yeah, and check around. Thank you again. Any questions?
Why no face mocap?
Why? That's no. I guess at that point for us it wasn't ready quality-wise, so we needed to actually have a proper approach on how we control that expression, because we are dividing animations in such many small pieces that actually we wanted that control and not to have a full perf cap or facial capture system that we don't control that much. In that case, it was a bit crazy, I know, but for ours, in our opinion, we weren't there yet in terms of facial capture. We are talking, right? This game was released 4 years ago, so even more, right? So yeah,
that makes sense. Thank you.
Great talk.
Thank you.
Quick question. You mentioned that you were able to support Motion Builder and Maya at the same time, which that's wonderful. Love that. I'm curious about the aspect of like these more complex rigs like the Chimera or just simple props. Were you also able to support both DCCs for that, or was that mostly kind of a Maya thing?
Okay, for the Vault, the question is if we support more complex rigs like the Chimera on both Motion Builder and Maya. It depends. It depends the animator that is going to be assigned to that. Being honest, sometimes for some complex rigs we do it out of the box for both of them, and sometimes in this case it was a pretty tricky collaboration because the design was kind of changing for Chimera, so it wasn't worth it to iterate the rig in both sides. It was only in Maya in this case, but it was me that I know Maya, so it was good to go.
Okay, and so for things like weapons and whatnot, like
weapons, usually they are both in Motion Builder and Maya. Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you.
Hi, I was very curious about how you guys get the initial motion for the camera, like what that first pass of motion looks like. If it's like something constrained to, do you guys usually start by constraining to the head for the rotation motion and then?
Sorry, can you repeat again? I didn't catch it.
I was wondering how you guys get, or what that first pass of motion looks like for the camera.
For the camera, for the motion signals.
If you guys start with like some head rotation motion that's just constrained to the skeleton? I see.
Okay, so the question is about the rotation of the camera, how we do the cleaning pass on that, how we start, right?
Yeah.
First tip is the roll axis. That's the biggest offender on motion sickness, that you get very much sick for that. Second thing that you have to check is the parallax with the rest of the layers of distance that you have. So if you are actually want to go for a place to put your hand, try to, keep the target locked while you're moving around, not move that much, both targets and the camera. And third thing that I will say is the body presence, to try to improve body presence. Problem is that we capture in world space, right? So sometimes hands are passing by in 2 frames. And we need to try to keep it more in a screen space. So try to, at some points, follow the arms passing by with the camera. So actually you have time to register it passing by. You know that your body is there, I'm going there, and this is not rolling in this way. So those kind of 3 steps are the way to go. And later is based on feeling as well, how I feel. Sometimes we try to disconnect it from the body to reach to certain angles, and what is that feeling? Is this actually even possible? It looks weird. So yeah, those will be the main points there.
I see. And just a follow-up question was, do you give any specific instructions to your actors when they do the motion capture that you know is going to be first-person point of view?
Not really. Well, it depends. We had sometimes one that is like, just finish looking at that point. Or you are sitting here, but the head is orientated this way, right? So sometimes those are the main things, but it's just nailing the pose as we have it. But in the middle of the action, we try to not have it unless it's too much crazy that you're doing something with the head. Right. You know, that it requires obviously some more cleanup later. So we try to, you know, neutralize a little bit more. But usually it's not the case. Usually it's more about where do you finish, where do you start, and where are you looking at, basically, right?
Yeah. Right. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much for the talk. Very interesting. I was wondering, did you base any of the models and rigs on the mocap talent to reduce the amount of retargeting work or not?
Body proportion-wise, you mean?
Yes.
As far as I know, no. No, we have these body types, and these body types are assembled at the beginning, and we iterate over them. And later we try to retarget between body types, same animations as well, but those are locked. Obviously, depending on the motion capture session, if you have a bigger guy, we try to hire an actor that is bigger to try to match more or less, so it's not that difficult later to handle that data. But it's not like we didn't create the body types thinking of an actor, right? Okay. It's more of the opposite way around.
Thanks.
Hey, thank you for your talk. For the cinematics versus in-game regular gameplay, do you use the same first-person rig, or do you swap it out for a higher res rig during a cinematic so you have more fidelity?
We use the same.
It's the same?
Yeah.
How many bones are in the hands? And
you got me there. Yeah. You got me there, totally.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. I had a question about creating scale-accurate environments and props to your virtual worlds. How do you do that? What's your workflow, or where do you start?
Do you mean about those templates that we talked before? Or?
Yeah. How do you, like, what's 5 feet in Unreal versus in person? How do you create a scale or a ratio for that?
So the question is about environment and props and how do we create them. And I can talk about how we share with, how we collaborate in animation terms. It's about those metrics. For us, metrics are very important. What is the reach of this atrium, right? Like, so we can share animations of several things. Like, for example, a railing, a bar, a table have the same height, so we can share poses independently. So every time an asset artist, environment artist, they must have this in mind. Not always the case. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. So we have to collaborate more to actually preach about it. And when they build this, as far as I know from environment, when they build this, we call prefab. It's like just like a little set corner of some environments. They always try to put the templates that we have, so later we can play with them as well. And cinematic designer, when they implement the animations, they will notice if they are on metrics or not, and if we need something else to cover this or not. Everything, of course, based on the narrative and what we want to express at the moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for the talk, and definitely love the game. I was wondering, how did your team manage the tension, or what's your perspective on the tension between character customization and a true first-person perspective? Did that factor into any of the animations you were thinking about for V, or just sort of how the player could experience V through the world?
Well, that's you mean what animations did we handle in third person, or how do we manage actually that third person that we don't have third person?
That's what I mean, is that in a true first-person perspective, you can't really see the V character that you've been customizing. And since that's also kind of a major part of what players are sort of playing the game to also experience, did that factor into the perspective you have on the animations? And sort of, did that factor at all into how you built the perspective on the animations so that you could see elements of the customization?
Yeah, sometimes it does actually. Because, for example, there are several types of garment, several types of jacket that you can wear. Sometimes animation we're clipping, or animation, they are not space enough. So we need to actually export that into the rigging, those assets, skin and all, so we can actually see it in animations. There are specific custom cases. Mostly we have an average distance for garments. We have like one very loose, one very small, and one very average. The average is the one that we use. And of course, there are cases that animations are going to clip or hover, because it's kind of impossible to, for the amount of those animations that you saw, the number of animations, to track everything down. But obviously there were a lot of bugs about it. So that is how we track it. Basically QA telling us, hey, this animation with this jacket, clip. When you have the mantis blade on this jacket, doing this animation of grabbing this coin clips to the table. So we have actually an important QA department that supported us with that, because for us, if not, it will be pretty tricky and difficult to avoid, yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. First of all, thank you so much for the passion and the transparency that you bring to the talk. Really appreciate the information. My question is kind of around the pose library and clips library that you guys pulled from. It's kind of maybe a more technical question, I guess, but how do you manage who's allowed to add assets to those libraries, and when they get approved, how do you know that you can use them? You know, and how do you filter for those when you're actually using those in the animation process? Like if you know that you need a certain kind of animation, instead of scrolling through the whole list, how do you go about finding those?
Yeah, so the question for the vault is how do we manage pose library with amount of people, amount of assets, and how we don't get all chaotic around, right, on organization. So we iterate a lot on that. Obviously there was chaos at some point. All animators have access to it. Every animator can create a pose, but we have very strict set of rules. Obviously, we are preaching those rules. It's not like, you know, they're gonna log you. But for example, one thing that must happen, we have like a check on when you export animations. So if you have in the name metadata, in the naming convention, certain pose, if you didn't paste that pose or you paste another pose, it's not gonna let you export. So that's one firewall that we have. But obviously, there are ways around it. People find them. So we have to be very aware, and we have to actually train the people and showcase to the people how we need this to be organized. That's how Asset Pipeline team is starting to improve a lot of those, and we for sure will get better and better on that. But yeah, I agree, it was kind of tricky because you have a lot of poses, you don't know the origin, so it was adding more and more metadata tags, check marks, you know, firewalls, let's say, so you cannot go crazy with them all the time.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, great talk.
Thank you.
When Cyberpunk came out, there was a lot buzz around ray tracing, and I wonder if you found yourself directing a scene to showcase reflections and ray tracing specifically, or how did you approach these features in the graphic part?
Sorry, can you repeat again the first part? I didn't, I'm half deaf.
When Cyberpunk came out, there was a lot of talk about ray tracing.
Right.
Right, and I wonder if you were trying to direct scene or to direct a specific scene in a way that will showcase ray tracing in a specific way.
Yeah, that's an interesting question actually. He's asking about ray tracing, if we had in mind ray tracing for actually directing some sequences. By Phantom Liberty, I think we did in some parts. I don't know if they were successful or not. I know one case of one design that I wanted to actually see the eyes of someone through a rear view mirror, but it was tricky to get there, and it's kind of, you cannot control it that good. So, for example, mirrors, if it's one of your questions, how we handle mirrors.
The eyes especially, like you said.
The eyes especially, exactly. Mirrors are handled, as before we even had the ray tracing, they are like a duplicate of the small world on the mirror as we always do. But I don't think we had, as far as my mind can recollect, anything with ray tracing that much in mind. I think we were trying to not actually break it, that's for sure, to not break anything or that's something that looks horrible with ray tracing. And we for sure had to change some small animations or placement of animations because it was maybe under a bridge and you couldn't see anything. So it's kind of fake to put another light. So it was affecting us later, but I don't think we had that much design in mind that was functional, at least in the game, actually. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for the talk. I had two quick questions. Firstly, I was wondering for the face animation, you mentioned using like, design animations, but would you now try to use facial capture, or do you think from the experience of this approach of more designed and more control, you would think that's a good way to proceed?
I mean, it's more design, more control, but it's more work. So I think facial capture technology is getting there, or quality-wise is much better than it was years ago. So yeah, I mean, I will be open to explore it for sure.
All right, and then a second question. You mentioned that like the scenes use a lot of pose-based design. how do you handle like movement of characters, but like when you have to actually stand up, maybe walk to another place while they're speaking and so on? Is that something blocked out by the animators, or are you using like AI pathfinding of the actual NPC? Like how do you handle that?
Sometimes, basically, that's probably a request from the designer that wants to be more not that static in the scene, and sometimes is using the spline locomotion from systems. So just basically the AI navigating this, entering into a war spot, exiting a war spot, exiting a pose. But sometimes, for some custom animations that you know that I'm going for here to that chair, we try to do it in animation so it feels more natural sometimes, or even in cut corners or very small places that you want to navigate, and maybe the system is not giving you that proper quality. So we do it custom way from animation. But yeah, there are those cases basically, right?
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And we have to cut, guys. So thank you so much. You can catch me outside anytime.